expected a vote this week. When and would the governor put out a program bill?
This is really something that will unfold over the next few days. When, how, what kind of vote is really up to the legislature. We remain optimistic. I think, as we've been repeatedly saying, this is an important piece of our agenda. It should pass. This is something that should be taken up. This is something that has widespread Democratic support. It should have widespread Republican support, but that's not even what we need. What we simply need are 10% of the Republicans, and this is an issue that 55 to 60% of the population supports, and there's no reason why this shouldn't come to a vote, and there's no reason why this shouldn't pass.
Mike Long, the head of the Conservative Party, has said this is a litmus test issue for his party. How big an obstacle is that to overcome in this coming week?
I'll leave it to Mike Long and the Conservative Party to figure out the politics of the Conservative Party. I think if you look at the polling data and you look at what's going on district by district, this is not a make or break issue. This is not an issue that for most senators that they are going to lose their seat over this issue. This is an issue that I think is a matter of conscience and is a matter of history. Has to and will pass. The only question is, does it pass this year?
Steve, has there been any talk with some lawmakers who may be on the fence about this, about Republican lawmakers, that is, giving them a pass in 2012 or not running a Democrat against them that could easily defeat them?
I'm not going to get into the specifics of any conversation. There has been ongoing conversation about this issue for the past 3 months, if not longer. People know where this administration stands. They know the significance of this issue, and I think the electeds have a sense of what this means to the population as a whole. And 20 years from now, people are going to look back. They're not going to understand what took so long to pass this law. They're not going to understand 20 years from now that this, in fact, was something that required a lot of work to get passed. This is something that inevitably will be the law, and it should be now.
But is there any sort of trade-off to be had? I mean, maybe backing off on rent regulations, anything else? I mean, is there any trade-off to be had?
Now, this is an issue that I think rises and falls of its own merit. It is unlike a lot of things that you deal with in the legislature. This is a binary issue. It is a yes or a no. I obviously think it should be a yes, and I think that if you really look at the politics of each individual district, there's no reason why it shouldn't be a yes. I understand people have their own personal views, but my sense of it is that it's not the personal views that are getting in the way, it's the politics of Albany.
There's supposed to be a meeting today.
No, I'm not going to comment on any private meeting that we
Steve,
hold.
but by your own head count, how many votes short are you now?
It is not healthy in this town to play numbers games. The only vote, the only count that matters is the one that takes place on the floor of the legislature. And I believe, and I'm confident that if and when it comes to a vote, the elected officials will do the right thing.
Steve, in 2009, we heard ad nauseum, we have the votes, but there were no specifics and no numbers given. Why is your declaration today any more believable?
Yeah, I don't think you hear me saying we have the votes, we have the votes. What you hear me saying is, I believe this should pass. This is something that this governor believes in, has worked on, and it's something that inevitably will pass, if not this year.
You said that we have the votes on both sides and that your expectation is it will pass.
No, what I said was, when I said the votes are there, my point was that if people are allowed to vote their conscience, and whether that happens, it's up to the leadership. There is a general sense that people believe in this issue, and that if it is not held back, it will go forward and it will pass. But the politics of it are the politics, and that I can't control. I got to go.